But for class today, we're going to use a yoga blanket and then an optional yoga strap if that's your jam. We're definitely going to be doing some hip circles, so it really might be. Before we start class, though, I want to take a moment wherever you are and just point out some anatomy that's going to be important. We are going to implement what I call, or what the world calls, neuromuscular massage by using trigger points on the body to release, to stimulate the nervous system and help release the muscles. So the part we're going to focus on here is right at the base of the skull. And you might, let's definitely use our fingertips to explore the back of our head. So you're going to start at the base of the neck. You're going to follow the cervical spine, right? The neck, all the way up to the point where it meets the base of your skull. And there is a pressure point right up in here. And you explore it with your fingertips. You might find a point that's like a bit of a neck massage. For some folks, for many folks, it's a little sore and tender there. That is the pressure point that we're going to be working with. And this pressure point is so incredibly important because this is the root, the base of the skull. This is the root of all of your vagal nerves. So that vagal bundle starts here. And when we activate that pressure point, not only are we releasing the trapezius muscle right here in the neck and the shoulders, that muscle that cinches up when we struggle with trauma, when we struggle with big feelings that close us up, that we want to protect our heart. So not only are we releasing these muscles in the neck and shoulders, which is actually going to help release any tension, pain, not any, but some tension, pain in the low back. And that pressure stimulates those vagal nerves. So we invite our body deep into a place of regulation and presence. So familiarizing yourself with that. If you're using a strap this morning, keep it nearby. My cat is in the house and being naughty over here. I'm sorry if she interrupts us. And then we're going to start our practice laying down. Do what I do, not what I say. So laying down, knees bent, we'll plant the pads of our feet and then lower the spine down onto the earth. From here, you might walk the heels of the feet a little closer to the glutes just to really let them rest into the earth, relaxing the thighs, letting the low back and hips really soften down into the supports beneath them. And then we're going to take our hands, our fingertips, and I'm going to place them next to each other like prayer mudra, but opposite. So the backs of my hands are together, and I'm taking them underneath my head, my fingertips finding that insertion point where the cervical spine meets the base of the skull. And then I'm keeping my fingers bent, leaning the weight of my head slowly onto those fingertips. And we're taking it nice and slow. Maybe you can relax the full weight of your head right away into your fingertips. Maybe you take it breath by breath, each exhale, letting go of a little more effort in the neck and the shoulders. As we stimulate the vagal nerve here, as we put pressure on this insertion point on our body, we can help stimulate the vagal nerves even more by taking deep breaths into the body. And so you might just try that on your next inhale. Imagine sending your breath to the very bottom of your belly, filling the belly all the way up, and then letting that breath release nice and slowly from the body. Big, slow breaths, we imagine, filling the very depth of our belly and then letting it go nice and slow. And as you release those breaths, can you soften through the front of the neck? Can you let the weight of your head settle a little more firmly onto those fingertips? Let the jaw relax. Your tongue finds a gentle home in your mouth. A few more breaths, just like this, letting the head soften, letting the shoulder blades soften, the upper arms soften. Your goal here is to only engage the hands and fingertips to support the head. Those fingertips pressing into that pressure point as the head and neck soften. When you're ready, knowing you can hold this for 2 to 5 minutes and find incredible benefits, but when you're ready, go ahead and lift the head gently from your fingertips. We're going to sweep our arms out wide and then let the head rest back down. From here, take a moment just to imagine your body melting into the earth. Nothing you need to do, nowhere else you need to be. Just here in this moment. Each exhale, inviting a new surrender to the arms, the neck, the jaw. Each inhale, inviting the belly to fill and stretch. And then we'll do a little somatic work with the shoulders here. So we're going to imagine our left arm is a rolling pin, and we're going to roll our left arm down as far as it goes, and then roll it back up as far as it goes. So back and forth, like your arm is a rolling pin against the floor. And then pause, letting that arm rest easy. Now let's do the right arm, rolling it down and then rolling it up as far as it goes comfortably. This is wonderful for the nerves that run from the back of the neck to the arms. If you're like me, your hands fall asleep at night. This can help. And so finding ease in that right arm, let's bring the arms together. So as the left arm rolls down, we're going to roll the right arm up and then reverse it. Right arm rolls down, left arm rolls up. And back and forth, nice and slow, finding a flow for yourself. Pausing maybe a minute at the top or bottom of your rolls before switching directions. And then let's bring the knees into it. So whichever arm is rolling down, your knees are going to fall to the opposite side. So my right arm is rolled down, my left arm is rolled up. I'm paused here, and I'm just letting my knees fall on over towards the left. And let's pause here, letting the knees weight heavy, relaxing through these outer thighs and hips as you keep these arm rolling pins rolled. And then on an inhale, let's switch directions. Those knees float upright. As you exhale, let the knees fall towards the opposite side. So my knees have fallen towards the right. My right arm has rolling pin is rolled up. My left arm rolling pin is rolled down. And then moving with the breath, inhale, knees rise, exhale, they lower. Arm rolling pins moving as they do. The knees gently softening to whichever side of the body has that arm rolling pin rolling up, right? And so here we are, back and forth. And then let's bring the neck into it. So pause when you're ready with that left arm rolled up, right arm rolled down. Your knees weighted on over towards the left. And then let's gently turn our head to gaze towards those right fingertips. And now that you've found yourself here, can you soften into this posture? So Relaxing through the low belly and the hips, the knees weigh heavy. That right ear softens towards the mat, the neck relaxes. And then when you're ready, switch sides, moving with the breath. Take a moment and pause. Let the knees relax and weigh heavy. There's a lot going on in our body with our nerves, with our muscles here. We're threading and flossing, bringing new alignment to the pelvis, the low back, and the mid back. So if you would like, moving with the flow of your breath now, back and forth, gently letting the knees sway, the head look in the opposite direction of those knees. A few more times to either side. And then on an inhale, sweep those knees skyward. We're going to send our arms up overhead. Maybe you bend at the elbows. Maybe you just stretch those arms out long, pressing through the fingertips. And then we're going to walk the heels of our feet as close to our glutes as we can comfortably get them. We're going to start a little arch and curl with the back. So pressing into the pads of the feet, we're going to invite that tailbone up towards the ceiling and pressing gently into the pads of the feet. Feel the tailbone start to lift as it curls up, but don't let the low back lift up off the floor. So it's just a releasing of the pressure of the low back from the earth. As that tailbone curls skyward, we feel the low back lengthen with this effort. The tops of the legs engage. And then on an exhale, release all effort. Let the low back relax and flatten into the earth. Now let's find our arch. So on an inhale, pressing the tailbone down into your mat, the low back lifts and arches skyward as the belly presses up towards the ceiling. That tailbone really presses down into the earth. And this time it's not the feet that we're pressing down into. It's more so the shoulders and the back of the head as we keep this arch, breathing our breath deeply into our belly, feeling it rise with each inhale. And then on an exhale, soften your effort. Let the low back flatten against the earth. And then let's do this arch and curl with the breath. So on an exhale, press through the feet, curl the tailbone skyward, feel the low back lengthen. Inhale, arch the back, the tummy lifts, that tailbone presses strong into the earth. Move with your breath back and forth. Inhale, the belly rises. Exhale, press to the pads of the feet, the tailbone lifts. Big, slow belly breaths, informing the pace of your movement. Wonderful. On an exhale, soften all effort. Let the low back relax into the earth. And then straighten that left leg out. Press through the heel, flex the toes towards the heart. And let's start this arch and flatten again. This time as you exhale, you're only pressing through the pad of that right foot. As you curl that tailbone skyward, we often feel a bit of stretch here in the hip flexor of that left leg. Maybe you feel in the low back or the glute. Holding this pressure just like we did before. Pressing through the pad of that right foot, curling the tailbone up, letting sensation and effort build. And then on an inhale of your choice, press the tailbone down into the earth. Let the low back arch. Fill the belly with the breath. Hang out here for a moment. We're still pressing through the heel of that extended leg. And then let's move with the breath. On your next exhale, press to the pad of that right foot. Tailbone curls up. Inhale, press the tailbone down, low back arches. Back and forth. 3 more big, juicy breaths. Nice and slow. And then bend that left knee in, switch sides, straightening that right leg, pressing through the heel of the foot. And then when you are ready, press through the pad of that left foot, tailbone arches skyward. We hold. Hold for 3 or 4 breaths, really curling that tailbone up towards the sky, letting sensation build. We don't want to ignore what we feel in our body. We want to notice the pressure through the pad of that left foot. We want to feel us pressing through the heel of our extended right leg. And then on an exhale, arch the low back, press that tailbone into the earth. Hang out. Another breath or 2 just like this. We're releasing the psoas. We're releasing the iliacus. These are muscles deep in the low back that can cause us a lot of stress, tension, and pain. When you're ready, moving with your breath, exhale, press through the pad of that right foot, curl the tailbone up. Inhale, reverse it. Back and forth. We take it nice and slow. Can you allow your mind's eye to notice where you feel these sensations moving through your body? For me personally, I can feel it deep in my left hip. I can feel it in my low back, in the front of my low belly. But that's just my body and my shape. Where do you feel this movement? And sometimes it can help to pause and in stillness acknowledge the sensations you're feeling. And then move and pause. This is why we hold these postures, to become familiar with them in our mind, not just our body. When you're ready, bend the pad of that right foot. We're going to invite both knees up in towards the chest. And this is a lovely time to grab a belt. And I would just swoop it on the outsides of those shins. And we can pull our knees in towards the chest, getting a nice big stretch in the low back, and then roll to either side. So back and forth, just a little roll. Just a low back and kidney love. If you're struggling with burnout, and I talk about this a lot because it's information that's so important. If you're struggling with burnout, a lot of fatigue, brain fog, chances are the adrenal glands that sit just up above your kidneys have been used and abused. And I know mine have. Our adrenal glands produce all the adrenaline, most of all the adrenaline for our body. And if you live in fight, flight, or freeze, your adrenaline is what keeps you alive. And those adrenal glands are exhausted from producing it. So when we do this roll to the left and the right, not only does it feel good to the muscles, but it stimulates the kidneys and it brings new, fresh blood flow to those adrenal glands. And they need it. All right. From here, we're going to take this stretch over to one side. So keeping the knees tucked in towards the chest, let the knees fall on over towards the left. As much or as little as they like. Maybe those knees hover a little bit. Maybe they make it all the way on over. Whatever your body is looking for. And then an option here to tee the arms out wide. And maybe that feels good as you allow that right shoulder blade to soften towards the earth. Maybe you bend that right elbow and plant it on the rib cage just to bring a little ease to that right shoulder blade. From wherever you are, soften, let go. Let the belly melt. Let the knees grow heavy. If the body shifts as you're doing this, as you're releasing, let it shift. Our bodies are going to make whatever shape our body makes, and it doesn't need to look like what's in a magazine to be exactly right. If you want to bring your cervical spine into this, lift the head. Once more, turn your gaze the opposite direction of those knees and let your head grow heavy. Soften through the shoulders, through the neck. Let your tongue relax. If you want to feel this stretch even deeper, keep the knees pinned together, but straighten that top leg, point through the toe. This increases that rotation in the mid-low back. Breathe here, wherever your body wants to be. With each exhale, we just surrender the busyness in our body, the stress, the need to produce, to get things done. Our lists are impossibly long, and they were never meant to be. When you're ready, turn your head back skyward, roll your knees all the way back up towards the chest. You might take a little gentle rock left and right because that was a pretty big twist. And then roll those knees on over towards the opposite side. And I should have cued, if you've got that yoga blanket handy, instead of just letting the knees hover, you might place it underneath the knees, bringing some extra support and cushion. You can even slide that blanket up underneath that right thigh to bring support. Maybe you tee the arms out wide. Maybe you don't. Maybe you turn your gaze opposite the knees, taking a moment to make this your own. Do you extend that left leg long, or do you just melt here? There's no wrong choice. And as this is an exploration, if you choose a variation or a posture and midway through you're like, nah, beautiful. That's how we explore. Our willingness to just see what we need, to pivot when we know we need to pivot, and to radically meet ourselves exactly where we are. Compassionate curiosity is the key to healing on so many levels. When we get curious about our needs, about our struggles, about our exhaustion, when we get compassionate about how we ended up in this place, knowing that it's not just our choices that brought us here, it's also the systems in which we live, in which society is structured. And so we pour out compassion on our exhausted, busy minds, on our fatigued bodies, the aches and pains. We pour out compassion. When you're ready, allow the head to rotate back towards the ceiling. Swing those knees back skyward. Let's plant the right knee and then do some hip circles. So you might pretend that there's a pencil sticking out your bent left knee, graphite side up, and just start drawing little circles on the ceiling in whichever direction feels good to you in this moment. But let those circles start to grow. We really want to explore the whole hip socket here. And maybe you're enjoying these knee circles. Maybe you want to take your strap underneath the knee and bring a little support to the low back and hips. Maybe you want to bring a little fire to your practice. So you point that toe, extend the leg long. So wherever you are exploring these hip circles, let it be nice and slow. We're in no rush. Again, it's through slowness that we cultivate this deep awareness. What does it feel like to explore your hip socket? And then pause wherever you are. Let's draw 3 big circles the opposite direction. knowing you can change your variation of this hip circle whenever you like. And then once more, we're going to keep this left knee tucked in towards the chest. We're either going to grab the top or behind the knee, or simply sweep that strap behind, and then lift the right foot skyward, press through the heel, slowly lower it on down towards the earth. Nice and slow, let that right heel drop as you flex the toes of that right foot towards your heart. Ooh, another deep psoas stretch. This is a big hip, low back love. All right. When you're ready, bend that right knee. Let's switch sides. Bring that right knee up in towards the chest and find your hip circles. Let them start out a little small, a little cozy, and then start to explore that whole right hip socket. Slowing it down, allowing your mind's eye to just hang out in your hip, your low back, your belly, to notice what you feel. Building our mind-body connection is about taking the time to reconnect with physical sensation. We work so hard to survive, and one of our survival techniques is dissociating from the body, living from the head up. And there are a lot of really incredible reasons why we do that: trauma, neurodivergence, all sorts of goodness. When you're ready, pause. Let's do big circles the opposite direction, 3 big circles. And it doesn't matter how, it does matter how we got there, but what matters is that we're here. We're learning through our practice. Go ahead and bend that right knee up towards the body, brace it, and then lift that left leg, press through the heel, slowly lower it on down. The beautiful thing is that in this place, when we practice yoga so that we can go live it, we're reconnecting our busy mind to our body, slowly but surely, cultivating trust, understanding, curious, compassionate exploration. When you're ready, bend that left knee, release that right. Okay, we are going to make our way up into a seat to explore some boat posture. There are 2 different ways that I'm inviting you to do this morning. If you want to bring some extra super ease to the body, roll over onto your side body and press yourself up into a seat. If you're looking to bring a challenge or just a new way to explore with compassion, right? We're going to take our strap. We're going to bring our knees into our chest. And without a strap, you might just grab the back of the knees. And we're going to start to rock up nice and slow, letting the rocks grow. Maybe it takes a long time to rock up there. Maybe you try it and you don't get to the top. That's all right. Maybe you rock all the way up into your seat. From this posture, we're going to find boat pose. I'm going to scoot back so you can see. From my seat, we're not yet grabbing our blanket. I'm going to take my strap, still on the shins, keeping the knees bent, and then lean back, finding we're balancing on those sits bones now. And maybe your toes stay touched down, maybe they lift off. But here we are, and we're going to take 5 breaths, touching down anytime we need. And you might hang out here holding onto the strap, holding onto the knees. You might increase your challenge by floating. But we've got 2 more breaths wherever we are, deep into the belly. Nice slow exhales. 1 more. And then as you exhale, rock forward, touch the feet down. As you inhale, lift tall to the top of the head. Exhale, sink back into your boat. Breathe and be. If it's wibbly wobbly, beautiful. You're a wibbly wobbly boat on gentle, wavy seas. Let it be. One more deep breath in. As you exhale, touch the toes down. As you inhale, lift tall to the top of the head. Exhale one more time in boat. This is the last time, I promise. Breathe and be. Maybe you build the heat. Maybe you just hang out. When you're ready, on an exhale, forward. Inhale, lift tall. This time, plant the pads of the feet together. Let the knees float out wide. We're going to take this height into a bit of a fold, not much of one. And we're really making space for our belly here to melt the heart center down. Maybe you grab the ankles, the thighs, or the toes and use it as a bit of an anchor just to pull the belly and the heart a little further into this surrender. Can you relax through the low back here? The lumbar vertebra. This is a big low back stretch. We carry a lot of emotions in our hips and low back, a lot of intensity. They say this is where you keep anger. This is where you keep fear. So we invite that low back to soften. On an inhale, lift tall. Let's grab our blankets. Let's place them up under our seat. It's going to be a boon to our practice, I promise. And then, throw things around. Do what you got to do. And then let's make our way to Sukhasana for a moment. And Sukhasana is with legs crossed, but I would say take it in a way that honors your body. Widen the legs out, stack them one in front of the other. You might hang out in Baddha Konasana in bound angle anyway. But from this posture, we're going to open up the side body. So on an inhale, sweep that right arm up and overhead. As you exhale, plant the left hand and lean. Our goal here is to press out through those right fingertips, down through that right sit bone, and to invite all the length to this side of the body. This is a really beautiful posture. I often invite y'all to breathe in to the right side of the body, to breathe into the right side of the rib cage. So on the side of the body where you're feeling this stretch, can you send your breath there? Can you invite each inhale to stretch that rib cage just a little further, finding a little more length all along the side body. And then on an inhale, rise up tall. Exhale, switch sides, nice and slow. Again, we pause to invite our mind's eye down into the sensation that we're cultivating in our body. The jaw relaxes here. We're still pressing length through the top of our head, through our spine, following this curve, right? Finding this length. And then maybe once more you send your breath into the rib cage, stretching the side body. On an inhale, rise up. Let's switch sides. Finding that length in the right side body. And then when you're ready, you're going to take your right overhead hand and you're going to lower it down towards the earth, down towards your left side. Reaching as far as it goes, right? My fingertips hover, maybe yours plant. A gentle twist here, really anchoring down through this left arm. And then inhale, open it back up to the side stretch. Take a moment here, and then on your next breath in, switch sides. Exhale, find that length on the side body. Invite it in. And then an exhale of your choice lowers that left arm down towards your right side, reaching for the mat. That right arm presses the mat away. So we're getting just this little twist here. Breathing into the back, breathing in between your shoulder blades. Can you send your breath to just stretch your back open here? And then on an inhale, open it back up. Exhale, stretch into this side body. Inhale, rise all the way up, both arms. As you exhale, slowly lower your hands behind the body. And you might interlace your fingers here. I like to grab a strap and use the length at my back. So wherever you are, whatever you're using, we're going to shimmy the tops of our hands down towards the earth as we squeeze the shoulder blades in. And then breathe into your heart center and up through the spine, right? So the heart expands with each breath in, and we find this length as well. Hanging out here, opening up the heart center. From here, straighten the legs or extend the legs from the body out wide as you can comfortably get them in this moment. Pressing through the heels, flexing the toes towards the heart, squeezing those shoulder blades. Let's slowly let the belly and the heart melt forward. And again, we're taking this so slow, pressing through the heels. The toes want to collapse inwards, so we're going to invite them skyward as we melt the heart center down. And we're not looking to take a big bow here. We're not looking for our forehead to touch the earth. We're looking to feel maybe this stretch all through the back of the legs as you press through the heels. We're looking to open up the back as we let the belly melt towards the earth along with the heart. We're looking to squeeze those shoulder blades together, opening up the heart center as well. Letting the jaw soften. And then on an inhale, rise up tall when you're ready, really pressing down through the heels of your feet to get that leverage and strength. And then you're going to slide the back of your hands on over towards your left hip. Let your gaze towards those right toes. And then inhale, find length through the spine. Exhale, start to fold. And as you fold, my belly, I'm going to make space for it on the inside of my thigh. And I'm going to kind of turn my heart center to align with the top-ish of my right thigh. Again, pressing through that right heel, flexing the toes towards the heart, squeezing those shoulder blades back. Look, I forgot already. And then if you like, let that forehead melt down, relax through the back of the neck. We let it all go here. Those big feelings that get stuck in our physical body, we release. The shame that keeps us from the rest that we need to heal, we release. The judgment that creeps up as we get curious about our own bodies, about our own minds, we release. On an inhale, press down through that right heel to rise up tall. Let's switch sides. So the hands slide on over towards that right hip. Squeezing those shoulder blades together. Begin that bow on over towards that left thigh. Squeezing those shoulder blades together once more. Let the forehead hang heavy when you're ready. You might check in on the toes of that right foot. They kind of want to sink inwards. Invite them back up towards the ceiling. Relax the cheeks on your face. And then inhale, rise up tall. Release your hands. From here, left knee bends. Plant the pad of that left foot on the inside of that right thigh. And then we're going to take another little fold. So belly stays in this thigh space. We're going to walk our heart down towards the top of our right thigh and then walk the hands out. So we're stretching the upper back now instead of the upper chest area. And as you reach the arms out, walk them down, let them support the body, and then melt down as much or as little as your body likes. This is a beautiful opportunity to grab your strap, wrap it around the ball of your foot, and as you bow through the head, you can pull back on that strap and get a little traction there. But by no means is it necessary. Hang out here. And then when you're ready, you're going to take your right hand, slide it to the inside of your left leg, of your right leg, excuse me. Why am I giving these crazy directions? Slide your right arm to the inside of your right leg. When you're ready, that left arm sweeps skyward, and we come into a bit of a folded twist here. So the back of my right arm presses into the inside of that right leg, and I'm using it to turn my heart center. And then I let my gaze follow those outstretched fingertips. This is a stretch that gets into the low back, the hip, SI joint. On an exhale, melt it on down. We're going to rise up tall. And then an option, if the wrists are feeling like it, to come into a half wild thing. So from here, with our right leg out, extended out in front of us, we're going to sweep our left hand behind us, planting the fingertips away from the body. So the leg and the arm are kind of in alignment. I'm just going to ditch this mic. All right, from here, I'm going to bend my right foot, plant the pad, and then use the strength. I'm going to press in through my left shin, through the pad of my right foot, and through this back left hand to lift my pelvis up, sweep my right arm back behind me. So you might straighten that right leg. This is a half wild thing. When you're ready, sit those hips back down. Let's come back to our wide-legged fold. On an inhale, sweep the arms out and up. As you exhale, take a fold at your own pace. This time we're folding with our arms out in front of us. We're still pressing through the heels, flexing the toes back towards the heart, lowering the belly, making plenty of space for it so the heart and belly melt at the same time. And then can you relax the shoulders down towards the earth? Melt as much or as little as brings you delight. And then on an inhale, rise up tall, bend that right knee. Let's take our fold, grab your strap if you want that extra leverage. I'm going to pull my belly gently on the inside of my left leg, align my heart with the top of my left thigh. On an inhale, I bring length to my spine. Exhale, I'm going to melt the heart center. Walk your hands down that leg. Maybe you grab that strap. Pressing through the heel of that left foot, letting the heart center melt. When you're ready, the outside of that left arm finds the inside of that left leg. We're going to sweep that right arm open behind us. Let your gaze follow it. Breathe here. As you soften your jaw, can you notice where in your body you feel this the most? And then with each breath in, can you invite that area to stretch and lengthen? As you exhale, can you invite that area to soften and find ease? On an exhale, close it back down, slowly rise up. Option for your half wild thing. So that right arm plants behind you, fingertips away from the body. I'm bending my left knee. pressing through the pad of that left foot, rising up onto the shin of the right, sweeping the left arm behind me as I pump my pelvis forward. This looks really silly in the camera angle. Exhale, plant those sits bones, come back into a seat for a moment. From here, let's take our practice back down onto the mat. Let's end it juicy. So we're going to pull the blanket out from underneath us, lower ourselves back down onto our backs. Plant the pads of those feet somewhere cozy. And then once more, if you would like, let's take our fingertips, backs of the hands together underneath the head to really press into that pressure point at the base of the skull. And maybe you get there and you're like, oh, it's a little sensitive now that I've been pressing into it at the beginning of practice. That's all right. As you gently press into that pressure point where the neck meets the skull at the back of the head, slowly letting the weight of the head rest down on those fingertips. Filling the belly full of breath, and with each slow exhale, the head weights heavier. The neck relaxes more deeply, the shoulder blades soften. And then maybe you keep the pressure on your pressure point. Maybe you release it. The longer you hold, the deeper the release, but we move at the pace of our own body, of where it's at today, without judgment, without shame. We get curious and maybe even delighted that we notice the difference when our body needs more or when it needs less. You can hang out just like this, or if you want to add some extra goodness to it, you might come into a figure 4, crossing the right ankle atop the left thigh. And then let the pad of that right foot travel all the way on over towards the left. Not all the way, but as far as it can go, keeping the weight of the head on your fingertips. So while normally I might be able to touch the floor, I can't do that comfortably and still hold this pressure point. So I'm just going to twist just as far as my body invites me to while holding the head heavy. And then let the knee rise upright and then fall the opposite direction. So now the weight of my right foot is pulling my left knee on over towards the right. If at any point your fingers ache, release the head. You might cradle your head in your hands. When you're ready, roll those knees skyward. Let's switch sides. Lowering the pad of that left foot on over towards the right. Filling the belly with breath. Yet again, we're breathing in deep to the base of the belly. Can you fill the very bottom of your belly with breath and then let it go nice and slow? Again and again. When you're ready, sweep that knee on over towards the other side. Beautiful. The knee sweeps skyward. If you haven't yet, release your fingertips from behind the head. Let the head soften into the earth. Let's stretch our fingertips long, reaching through the body. And then let's do the same with the feet, but pressing through the heels. So pressing through the heels of the feet, stretching out long through the fingertips. And then slowly but surely soften that effort. Let the body relax. Let the legs grow heavy. If the low back is talking to you here, widen the feet just a little bit. But relax here. And this is the place that will end our practice. Knowing you can shift your arms and legs and find a more cozy posture if that's what your body is asking for. Our goal here is to let it all go. Let go of all of our physical effort. Let go of all of our mental effort and find stillness in the present moment. We do that by inviting our mind to notice the breath. Notice how even in stillness, when we let it all go, not a muscle in your body intentionally doing any work, we find that there's still the breath. That even in stillness, even in rest, the breath never rests. And so we use it as a soft and gentle focal point for the mind. As you lie here, relaxing the shoulder blades and the backs of your arms. As you soften through the belly, the lowest part of your belly, your hips and your thighs. As you let that ease trickle down into the ankles and toes, trickle up into the palms of your hands and your fingertips, can you allow your mind to settle on the breath? The in, the out, the rise, the fall. These subtle sensations that each time we notice, build that body and mind trust, build a greater intimacy with self and self-knowing, cultivate relaxation and regulation. Hang out here for as long as you like, knowing that this might be the juiciest and most valuable posture of your entire practice. The stillness in the midst of the chaos. The peace we find ourselves inside ourselves in the midst of the wild and the hardship and the struggle. Each breath in and each breath out, cultivating deeper peace and gentleness. When it feels right, you might begin to awaken the body, maybe rubbing the thumbs against your fingertips. Does it feel tickly or rough? Maybe you feel warmth or coolness. Maybe you find some wrist circles. Maybe you stretch the arms out long, reaching through those fingertips. And maybe once more, we do the same with the feet, this time pressing through pointed toes and out through outstretched fingertips. When you're ready, relax all effort. You might bend the knees, roll over onto your side body, and press up into a gentle seat. We end our practice today, as we end so many practices. You might bring your palms to the heart center, just to center. Maybe a gentle bow in the head. We show reverence to ourselves this morning for showing up, for meeting ourselves here, for the willingness to explore in the midst of exhaustion, maybe pain. Here we are. Here you are. And it's beautiful and powerful.